has been all over headlines after his viral Bussin' with the Boys interview. And in this interview, he dropped an interesting tidbit that I'm going to break down in this show. He revealed that at one point he considered transferring to Jackson State after his time in JUCO at a New Mexico Military Institute before going to New Mexico State. But Deion Sanders made it clear he wouldn't be the starter, prompting Pavia to look elsewhere. This is kind of an interesting interview. Deion said, "My son's playing regardless." Stay tuned as I break this down, as well as Shedeur Sanders being pulled over for driving over 100 miles an hour in Cleveland, and he was actually pulled over twice. So stay tuned as I break this down in the second half of the show. But in the first half of the show, we got a Jacksonville Jaguars radio host, R.J. Saunders, joining the show to give us some insight and an update on Travis Hunter and how the Jaguars will use Travis Hunter, as well as breaking down James Gladstone's impact on the Jacksonville Jaguars football program here. Folks, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member. It's going to be a great show. I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live.
Bailey Price Media. I like it.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live. Today, I got a great show for you planned here on this fine Thursday. In the first half of the show, Jacksonville Jaguars Radio Host for 1010XL and 92.5 FM in Jacksonville, R.J. Saunders joins the show to give us some insight into Travis Hunter and how the Jaguars will use Travis Hunter. We're also going to talk Trevor Lawrence, discuss the GM down there, James Gladstone's impact on the Jaguars, and so much more. Folks, if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and become a member of the BPM Army today. I can't thank you enough for tuning in. Let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. Like I mentioned, Jacksonville Jaguars radio host and producer for 1010XL, 92.5 FM in Jacksonville, R.J. Saunders joins the show. R.J., what up, man? Happy Thursday. How you doing, man?
Happy Thursday to you, man. Appreciate you having me on. How are you?
I'm great, man. It's a great day to be here, my man, and I can't thank you enough for joining, man. Let's get into it. I got to ask you, I cover Colorado and got a chance to see Travis Hunter really, take college football and now hopefully the NFL by storm here. But I wanted to ask you, my biggest question to you is from your insight and what you've heard from the Jacksonville Jaguars, how do you think they'll use and plan on using Travis Hunter? Do you expect him to be a primarily defensive back, a wide receiver, both? Because I think he is more than capable of doing either one, whatever he puts his mind to. But how do you expect the Jaguars to use Travis Hunter this season?
It's absolutely been split right down the middle in terms of who you ask when it comes to the national landscape. Some individuals view him more as a corner, and you'll probably continue to develop him as a wide receiver. Others believe that you drafted him with the number 2 overall pick to primarily be a wide receiver, and you'll use him in some spots at the cornerback position because you really don't want to tire this guy out, within the first years of his rookie contract, him playing both sides of the ball, although that's a guy who has said that I'm going to play both sides of the ball, and that's something that he wants to do. And the brass has really understood that in James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, as well as Tony Baselli, the executive vice president. And Liam Cohen's been, forthright in saying that, listen, there have been times during this offseason program in which we have used him where he's worked on one side of the ball, and then that afternoon when we're going through installs, he's with the other group. He's with the defense, and he's learning certain, just formations. He's learning things with inside the defense in which they're liking to do. He's very much a walkthrough guy instead of a guy that just wants to sit and talk through what the idea is of what they're trying to accomplish. And also the same thing on the offensive side of the ball. If he spends a lot of the time during those practices playing as, a defender, once those practices are over, he's on the offensive side with Liam Cohen and the offensive coordinator, Grant Udinski, and learning just that side of the ball and what they're looking to accomplish. So they've really been forthright with them. They've really done a great job in communicating with the Travis Hunter as to what they're looking to do. And he's also communicated how he wants to be able to be utilized to be the best for this football team. So for me, if you were to ask me, I think this is going to be a guy that's going to start out on the offensive side of the ball primarily. And then I think you use him in spurts on the defensive side. I think maybe third downs, also in red zone. We'll also see if they have any special packages for him, but I primarily see him on the offensive side of the ball, at least to start, in my opinion.
That makes me excited. That makes me excited, RJ, because I was, him going to Jacksonville. I was really hoping that, Liam Cohen, Gladstone, we're all in on using him, not being afraid, of Travis getting hurt and all the other arguments that I've heard with people of not wanting, to use Travis to his full versatility. Now, let me ask you about Travis. Have you heard about whether there's a learning curve, whether that's at receiver, whether that's at defensive back? I've discussed with Alcorn State coach Leroy Frederick how there may possibly be more of a learning curve going into the NFL at receiver, maybe more than defensive back. What have you heard about that? And kind of give us your insight on that.
Absolutely. I mean, there is going to be a learning curve here going from college to the NFL, but it does seem to me that he has just the right group of guys that are going to be able to communicate with him what is to be expected. I mean, here's an individual that hasn't played a down yet, in Jacksonville. And let me tell you something, just a bit of insight. We're treating him like the president over here. I mean, This guy really can't go anywhere without, people cheering for him. If he drops a napkin on the floor, I mean, I think it's breaking news here in Jacksonville. So, understanding that the learning curve is going to be there for one Travis Hunter, Liam Cohen and company are saying, listen, but he's picking everything up rather well. We're not trying to put too much in front of him, not trying to, inundate him too much with what's going on. I think this installation process with Liam Cohen being a new head coach in the NFL and you having these rookies that are coming in here trying to learn a brand new offense, Trevor Lawrence also learning a brand new offense. Everyone's really trying to grow together. So in this OTA process, in this offseason program process, this is more or less just a guy trying to figure out this offense, figure out the defense, since he wants to play both sides of the ball. And once we get to training camp in the first couple of games of the regular season, I think it'll be more polished up. It'll be more tight and it'll be more strengthened. But so far, so good when it comes to Travis Hunter and what we're seeing during the offseason portion. Now we're in the dead period. Training camp's going to be here before we know it. But so far, so good. And I mean, the arrow's really been pointing up in terms of Travis Hunter, both offensively and defensively, in terms of how he's been able to pick up the playbook, both offensively and defensively. And he said, listen, this is nothing new to me. I did this at Colorado. He's also done it at Jackson State. So I understand he's really excited to go on this new endeavor and have this opportunity in the NFL. And we're all excited here in Jacksonville just to see how this plays out and what happens.
Absolutely. Now let's focus on the offensive side of the ball. I want to ask you about your receiving core and how Travis fits into Jaguars receiving room. You guys got Brian Thomas Jr., who Sean King, Super Bowl champion, been on the show, is claimed for a long time, is about to be a stud. Was right about him last season. Can't wait to see him this season. Obviously, you guys also got Dyami Brown as well, pairing with Travis. How do you feel about the receiving room in Jacksonville and how Travis fits into that in the Jaguars offense?
I understand that the talk has really been around Travis Hunter because you're seeing a two-way dynamo and you really have interest to see whether or not this guy can do it. However, at the same time, I think Brian Thomas Jr. has come into this offseason really looking to send a message. If that makes sense, I think he's come into camp or the offseason program, I should say, just kind of a lot bigger. I think a lot stronger. People that have been at the practices have said, he looks a lot better than even what he was last year. And I know that's kind of hard to believe. I mean, seeing the numbers and the production level that he had this past season, but I think he understands what's in front of him. I think Liam Cohen and company are also going to be guys that are going to utilize them in different areas of the field. This is not just going to be one individual that's going to stand on one side and just be on the outside and kind of have that redundancy probably in which we saw from the last regime this past season. Dyami Brown, I have to be honest with you, when you talk to people in that building and you also talk to individuals here at this station that have talked to others when it comes to Dyami Brown, there's a level of just, listen, this guy is going to be really good. He's really going to be an individual that is going to help us this season. And it's also going to help Brian Thomas Jr. And you fit Travis Hunter into that. I think all of this stuff is going to benefit one Brian Thomas Jr. with the additions of Dyami Brown, with the addition of Travis Hunter. I think it's going to help make Brian Thomas Jr. that much better. I think it's going to put that much more of a spotlight on him in terms of what he can do on several different sides of the field and on several different avenues of the field. So that's been an exciting piece too. I think Travis Hunter, you're also going to be a guy that is going to be able to be utilized on certain parts of the field and in certain aspects as well. So it seems like Liam Cohen is saying, listen, not all these guys are not just going to be placed in one spot. And we're saying you're just going to be an outside receiver. Sometimes we're going to use you inside. Sometimes we're going to use you in other areas where you can be successful. So the defense just doesn't have an understanding of where you're going to be at all times. We're always going to try to keep the defense guessing. And that's a breath of fresh air, especially when you have a guy such as Travis Hunter, who, I mean, he's always due for an incredible play, at least 2 or 3 times per ball game. But I think it's really going to benefit Brian Thomas Jr. And that's something that Liam Cohen talked about with having a guy such as Travis Hunter, that's really going to benefit Brian Thomas, because he had something, along the lines of that with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans down there in Tampa Bay. So I think he's really looking at that, seeing what tools he'll be able to take from his time in Tampa Bay, bring that over here to Jacksonville, and really, make the most out of his weapons for Trevor Lawrence. Because at the end of the day, that's who he said he's trying to build this entire thing around. So let's see what happens, during the regular season when it comes to Travis Hunter, how they utilize him in the offense. But Brian Thomas Jr., I think, has a real opportunity coming into this season. When you ask certain individuals, they look at him as a top 12 to 15 wide receiver already, and it's already been year one. I think if he has a level of production that is, upped from year one to year two, I think easily he can crack the top 10 in terms of receivers this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, I expect nothing. I mean, I expect Brian Thomas to be your guys' one. I expect Trevor Lawrence to look to him and rely on him, because I think he's an absolute stud. Now, I wanted to ask you one final question on Travis. It's going to be brief. Yeah. Have you heard anything about Travis possibly being used in the return game last season? I do a Colorado show with the Colorado alumni Matt McChesney. We had Deion Sanders Jr., Bucky on, and asked him, when are we going to see Travis in the return game? Like we always ask that. Have you heard any inkling about that or not? Or that was just something I wanted to ask.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything yet when it comes to Travis Hunter being used in the return game. I think really the focus right now is with him wanting to play both sides of the football. It's really trying to get those playbooks down, really trying to learn that, try to implement that. I think they, have individuals and who they're considering and being utilized in that return game. I think LaQuint Allen's going to be an individual that's probably going to be looked at as one of those. Joshua Cephas, if he makes the team, was a part of the return game last season. Maybe another individual in which they decide to utilize if he makes a team after camp. So nothing yet in terms of, Travis Hunter being one of those guys that's going to be looked at to be utilized in the return game. But I mean, you never know if he's wanting to do it. Maybe they say, you know what, let's see what you got. But I think the focus right now is just both offensively and defensively, really trying to get that down for Travis Hunter for him to be successful year one.
Okay, that makes me excited. Now let's go. Let me ask you about the man throwing on the ball, Trevor Lawrence. Do you expect a bounce back season from Trevor Lawrence? How's his development been this offseason? How is he working with the Jaguars receiving room so far? And what do you expect from him going into the season?
So far, when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, I think many Jacksonville Jaguar fans have had to understand, and with the people in which I've talked to, listen, he hasn't thrown the ball in 4 months. This is the first time in which he's thrown the ball since that injury he suffered last season. There's been days where he's looked sloppy, but there's been days where he's looked, fine, and where you're seeing that, listen, he's really taking to the tutelage in which Liam Cohen, Grant Udinski, and that whole offensive staff is really giving him, and giving him an opportunity to also utilize, the throwing weapons in which he has, whether that be Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange, Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, also individuals in the backfield such as Bashal Tutin, who they drafted this year. You also have Tank Bigsby. You're also going to have Travis Etienne. So I think he's going to have a wide array of weapons. I think, there are a lot of individuals that looked at the offseason program and wanted Trevor Lawrence to be perfect in it. So if you saw, tweets, or if you saw a video of him throwing, an interception, or him not having the greatest day, I think there have been many individuals that said, okay, that's it. I mean, this guy needs to, be traded or let go, or maybe we need to start looking at another quarterback, another option. But I mean, to those people, I will say, listen, he has a no-trade clause in his contract. You just signed him to a $275 million deal. The front office does believe that this is an individual that can lead the Jacksonville Jaguars to a Super Bowl. And I think that you have to be patient with them, because now this is I believe, his third new regime, third new offense in 5 years. He really hasn't had any sort of stability here to where he's been able to be the guy in which I believe he wants to be. Dabo Sweeney was on, with us not too long ago on our afternoon show, and he said, listen, Trevor, I think he can get it done there in Jacksonville, but he can't do it alone. You're going to have to give him an offensive line. You're going to have to give him a run game. You're going to have to give him guys in which he can pass the ball to. So I think that's what Liam Cohen coming in day one saying we're going to build this whole entire thing around Trevor Lawrence to make him successful. I really feel like they've done a good job in doing that thus far. And I think Trevor, once we get into training camp, I think we're going to be able to see just how much of the offense he's been willing to pick up and has been able to pick up. He has said this offense really gives you a lot of answers to a lot of things. So when we really think about it, I think also the fact that once the nuances are able to be tightened, once we get to training camp and probably week 1 of the season, there may be a lot of Jacksonville Jaguar fans that'll be, really pleased with the offense and how it's ran. Now, a lot of that is predicated on Trevor Lawrence. If they give him the offensive line, if they give him time and they give him a clean pocket, I think this is a guy that can really do damage on the offensive side of the ball. But it's a tall order when, your offensive line isn't that great and you're on your ass the entire time, or you're really trying to play hero as we've seen him do for the first 5 seasons of his career. Just not an easy thing to do, and it's a tall order to ask. And I think when you look at a guy such as Liam Cohen and the success he's had with other quarterbacks, I mean, most recently in Baker Mayfield, you're kind of looking at Liam Cohen saying, hey, can you fix our quarterback we just paid $275 million to? I don't know whether or not that's fair. However, I do believe that he's trying to make this as easy on Trevor as he can as well, to where it doesn't feel that Trevor Lawrence has to make the biggest play of the game every single snap. So Trevor Lawrence, so far, he's looked good. I think it was to be expected that he'd have some sloppy days just due to the fact he hasn't thrown the football in 4 months. But I do believe that he is learning and picking up this offense rather well. We'll see what he does in training camp. And once we get into the joint practices with the Miami Dolphins and moving forward this season.
Hey, Jaguars fans better be ready. I'm excited to see T-Law, see how he develops in camp, because I'm going to be watching the Jaguars. I can't wait to see. I think they're that division, in my opinion, is wide open. Houston is a big question mark to me. I'm a huge fan of CJ Stroud, great player, but I'd like to see the team they've built around him this offseason. I want to move up the totem pole a little bit in Jacksonville and ask you about your guys' new general manager, James Gladstone. Jaguars brought in 34-year-old James Gladstone this offseason as their general manager. RJ, I wanted to get your take on his impact on the Jaguars so far, the things that he's doing to impact the Jaguars, how he might change, how he might improve the Jaguars from your perspective so far. What are your thoughts? Communication's been big with James Gladstone, also Liam Cohen, as well as Tony Baselli. It seems as if they're always communicating about certain things, and they're always talking about just the fact of, if we do disagree on something, it doesn't have to be, a thing where we're just blowing the whole thing up. We'll try to find answers. We'll try to find a way in which we can do things better. And I think that adaptability in which James Gladstone has shown, and James Gladstone has so far, has really been good. It's really been a breath of fresh air here when it comes to James. He's also trying to get guys in here that, love the game of football, that really take it serious. And if you don't, in his opinion, then you don't belong here. If you look at the roster, the turnover that has been placed upon this roster, my goodness. He's really believing in the youth movement, but also bringing in the requisite pieces in terms of veteran leadership that really can help this football team. He really wants to see what these young guys have as well. I don't believe that he's an individual that's saying, listen, we're going to be here trying to win a Super Bowl year one. So we just need to bring in every last, individual that we have in terms of a veteran and just throw money at them. And him coming from the Los Angeles Rams, we understand the F the picks mantra. I don't think he's really trying to do that right now. Now, he did shoot for the moon when it came to Travis Hunter, and I think understandably so. This is a guy that says, listen, we feel that Travis Hunter can be the Shohei Ohtani of the NFL. He can change the NFL in the way in which we look at it. Mm-hmm. So it seems to me that James Gladstone, really a young mind, a young guy that's really bringing in new and fresh ideas, also having that communication with not only just the whole front office, but with guys such as Liam Cohen. What do they need? How can we help you? How can we be of service to you? So that, I think it's something we probably haven't had in quite a long time. So to see that, James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, and
Tony Baselli are all on one accord, it's certainly something that, I think Jacksonville Jaguar fans need to be pleased with.
Hey, yeah, Jaguar fans, that's great news. I mean, James Gladstone got a lot of heat. I think Jaguars did when he brought him in. Now, though, I think, Jaguars fans definitely have warmed up to him a little bit. I mean, I was certainly shocked at the hiring. Then I see what he's doing. He goes and gets Travis. I like that move. I think it takes a lot of balls, but it also is like, hey, I think Travis is worth it, a unicorn, great player. Gladstone's, high school, highlight tape, so to speak. He was an All-American, I believe, wide receiver in college too. Was a team captain as well. But Gladstone is really focusing on bringing, analytics, kind of that younger mind. I think, like you mentioned, that the Jaguars really, could use in that front office. He discussed this in his opening press conference when he was asked about this. I wanted to go ahead and play this excerpt. Take a listen.
His NFL or from a GM spot?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I think that, I have a fresh perspective, I'd say. A deep understanding of really the modern tools and mechanisms that are revolutionizing the sport. And so, that'll certainly be something that we leverage here. While at the same time, I mean, we're walking into the combine this afternoon, right? And so the current mode of operation is in rhythm. The cadence is in place. So my intent here through this initial spring is to really calibrate my own mode of operation to the current mode of operation, insert some specific efficiencies that'll help me better understand our group's insights and perspectives, and then assess at the end of this spring what types of things we can roll out into the future.
I think he's done that. Safe to say. Now we're upon summer. I wanted to ask you, Gladstone, Liam Cohen are all disciples of Sean McVay Rams system. How do you think that impacts them as they attempt to revitalize the Jaguars?
I think it's been Rams East here, to be honest with you. I think I don't know if they're trying to implement that fully. However, I just do feel the young, innovative minds, and you heard in that excerpt that James Gladstone is talking about that. When you've looked at the last two regimes, and I'll say 1.5, because Urban Meyer, I think he was trying to study the league and how it was, but I think just it didn't work out for him in the way in which he thought it was going to be able to work out, still having that old school mentality. I mean, it's quite different now in today's NFL. But when you look at a guy such as Doug Peterson, when he was here, I think Doug Peterson was an individual that said, listen, my way worked. My way won us a Super Bowl. Yeah. And I don't know if that worked completely for him. I mean, he did have his moments, especially there in 2022. But I mean, not being able to adapt, not being willing to change, not being willing to, be that guy to listen to his players and see, what they need. Not saying he wasn't listening to the players in terms of just, listen, it's my way or the highway, but maybe going a different route about some things. I don't think that he really just adapted to that. I know play calling was one thing in which we really questioned, was it him calling the plays or was it Press Taylor calling the plays, and why wouldn't he decide, to call the plays? Because there were many individuals that felt that when he called the plays, it was a much more smooth offense than when Press Taylor, called the plays. That was a lot of complaints in which, Jacksonville Jaguar fans had here. So to have the fresh and young and new ideas that you see within James Gladstone at, the GM position, you're also seeing Liam Cohen, an individual that's giving you fresh perspectives, and also again, like I said, giving you that adaptability where he's saying, listen, if something doesn't work out here, we're going to make the necessary changes to where if we need to make subtle tweaks to the offense, if we need to make subtle tweaks here of how we position some players, or maybe even if we have to, replace one player that's already on our team with another guy that we feel can fit that position better, we're going to do everything we can here to be successful. That's just a breath of fresh air in and of itself already, because I'm not saying that the old guard doesn't work, but I mean, to hear we're really going to try to do things the way the modern NFL is going, and not saying that, the old offenses can't work. But as I said, this is a whole new, regime and a whole new outlook in which we're seeing with the NFL. And it is that young mind, that young, fresh ideas that we're seeing with guys in Los Angeles, such as Sean McVay. So to see it being brought over here, I think Jacksonville Jaguar fans, in my opinion, have always said, we want what we see other teams having. And I think that bringing in those three guys, especially Tony Baselli, who loves the Jacksonville Jaguars, was a Jaguar himself in the NFL Hall of Famer, saying like, how can we bring that here? And we're going to bring that here, should definitely make Jacksonville Jaguar fans excited.
Ooh, hey, man, yeah, Jaguar fans got a lot to be optimistic about. Definitely RJ giving us the insight, giving us the real on the Jacksonville Jaguars. RJ, I appreciate you. You've been an absolute great interview, my man. I'd love to have you on again closer to the season. I hope you have a great Thursday, my man. Thank you so much for joining.
Nah, man, thank you for having me on, man. Continue doing what you're doing, man, and just glad to have been able to help, man. Anytime you need me, just let me know.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you, RJ. Shout out to RJ, Jacksonville Jaguars radio host with 1010XL and 92.5 FM in Jacksonville. Go check out RJ on social media. Shout out to him for joining. Give us that insight on Travis Hunter, the Jaguars offense, Trevor Lawrence, James Gladstone, the 34-year-old general manager, and so much more. Man, that was a great insight from RJ. Shout out to him for joining. Folks, we got a lot more to discuss, though. It's going to be a wild and great show here on this fine Thursday. If you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. Man, we got a lot more to talk about, including the chat's already bringing it up. We got to address it here. I'm like, we know what direction we're about to head, but I want to talk about Diego Pavia first. I'm going to discuss Diego Pavia, and then we'll discuss the Shedeur Sanders news to close it out here. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the BPM Army if you haven't. There's a pinned link in the chat if you'd like to become a member. I appreciate all the support as always. But let's get into it. Diego Pavia, star quarterback at Vanderbilt, who helped Vandy beat Alabama this past season, revealed in his Bustin' the Boat with the Boys interview recently that at one point he considered transferring to Jackson State after his time at New Mexico Military Institute before going to New Mexico State, but Deion Sanders made it clear that he wouldn't be the starter, which is why Diego Pavia ended up at New Mexico State. But take a listen to this interesting tidbit here, interesting insight here. Take a listen.
Going to Jackson State, but Deion was so real. He was like, "Hey, you're not this ain't no 50-50. My son's playing regardless." And
he said that.
Yeah. And
so even if you were better than Shedeur,
even if you're better, like my son's playing regardless. He's like, we're looking for a backup. He's like, if you want to come here and be backup, and I'm thinking in my head like, I ain't no fucking backup. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm not going to St. Francis because I can't go to Lee from there. So I was thinking, shit, New Mexico State's my only option.
Damn. What was it like getting recruited by Deion?
It was pretty cool. It was short, but he was real. That's what I like.
Yeah. Man, that is all.
He was real. That is my takeaway from it. Just like Pavia's, he was real. Now, I'm gonna have Alcorn State coach Leroy Frederick join the show next week to give his insight on this, give his opinion on this, because Coach Fred was coaching against Deion at the time over at Alcorn State, and I'm sure he's gonna have a great take on this. So tune in to BPM Live next week. Now, my takeaways from this are respect to Coach Prime for keeping it real. Respect for Coach Prime for not just bringing in Diego Pavia and lying to him. I give Prime credit on that. I also give Diego Pavia credit on, going and not being afraid, going somewhere else. And he ended up, I think it all worked out for Diego Pavia, ended up in a great situation with Jerry Kill and then worked his way up over to Vandy. And let me just say this right now. Vandy go shock some people again this year. People keep sleeping on them. I saw a win total graphic come up that said they're going to win. Their win total is 3.5 or 4.5 or something. Take the over. Dirk and other people in the chat were asking about betting. I will look at, if we're talking betting in June before the season, look at Vanderbilt's win total. Same with South Carolina too, but we'll dive into that in a second. But the biggest takeaways from seeing this, hearing Diego Pavia talk about this, at least Coach Brian kept it real. Hey, Shedeur's playing, and that's that. And, I think Shedeur probably is head over heels a better player than Diego Pavia, especially if you're looking at, prototypical NFL quarterbacks. I don't know if Diego Pavia is looking to go to the league at that time, but nonetheless, Coach Brian keeps it real. Diego Pavia moves on. I think ultimately ended up working out for the best for Pavia as well, because I think Pavia worked his way up, had a great season at Vanderbilt. If Vanderbilt beats Alabama, he's the quarterback. He's going to be remembered forever for that. And now you hear him chirping in his Bustin' with the Boys interview talking about Tennessee. Oh, I know Tennessee fans are just going to love that because, oh boy. Now Tennessee, you guys go back to this win total graphic, 8.5. I don't know. I've looked at Tennessee's schedule. I think there are some tough games for them. I think it's going to be real tough for them to get to 10 wins. Man, I would not, asking betting, I would not look at Tennessee. I mean, I've said it before. I did a show the other day. Vanderbilt's going to win more games than Tennessee, and I broke down the schedules the other day. So if you haven't, go check out that show because pretty realistic. But chat, let me know whether you agree or disagree. I got a lot of flack for that from volunteer fans. Obviously, I'm here boosting the ground in Knoxville, so they love that out here. Agree or disagree, though, folks. Well, I can't wait for the season. And interesting tidbit, Diego Pavia dropping that on his Bussin' with the Boys interview. Folks, if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, become a member. I gotta address the elephant in the room here, so to speak. The news of news of the hour, if this is really how we're gonna address it. But let's talk Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders was cited by police early Tuesday morning for driving 101 miles an hour. According to police reports, an officer in Strongsville, Ohio, for the Strongsville, Ohio Police Department stopped Shedeur at 12:24 a.m. for driving 41 miles an hour over the posted 60 mile an hour speed limit in his black TRX, Dodge TRX, which we know V8 supercharged. It's a fast ass truck. Here's what I gotta say: Shedeur cannot afford to make mistakes like this. Shedeur's trying to beat out 3 other quarterbacks right now as a 5th-round pick. Any negative off the field noise or mistakes are detrimental to Shedeur's cause, and mistakes like this will be used by an example. It will definitely be used by an example by every other NFL coach as they work to develop and teach their rookies right from wrong. And so, Shedeur, you can't afford this. You just can't. And this isn't. Let me give some insight. This isn't the only Shedeur Sanders speeding incident this month. Here, about 2 weeks ago, actually, I think less than 2 weeks ago, on June 6th, Shedeur was also pulled over by Ohio State Patrol for speeding as well. This is a problem. This is a really, really big problem. And it's frustrating to see this because I'm rooting for Shedeur. I want Shedeur to go out, work his way up, win the Browns quarterback job, and ultimately start. But when you got off the field stuff like this, it's not good. It doesn't play in your favor. It puts you at even more odds than you already were before of working your way up. It doesn't help with your social media circus. You're Deion Sanders' son, so anything you do will be used in the news, in the media. Anything you say, anything will be used against you or will be used at all. So, Shedeur needs he has been doing all the right things so far this offseason, at least since he's been getting to Cleveland. I've been covering it. I thought he's been doing a hell of a job working his way up, doing the little things, talking to the youth, definitely, they had a youth camp there as well that he was, doing TikToks with the youth and stuff as well. So I thought he was doing the right things. But when I saw this, I was like, Shedeur, this is very, very disappointing. And Shedeur, let's face the facts of this. Shedeur Sanders is a quarterback. Quarterbacks are leaders, and quarterbacks lead by action and example. And he's not Tyreek Hill. To all the Colorado fans and all the Browns fans who I see sending me videos of Tyreek Hill and videos of other NFL players speeding with cars, let me make this straight. All the stuff that people are sending me were from receivers and skill guys, not quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are you're like the president of the United States for your team. You can't go out and be doing stupid shit. Wide receivers are divas and skill guys are divas. That's a little bit different. Quarterbacks are on a whole another level. You're the leader of the team. You're the face of the team. Quarterbacks have to be better, have to lead by example. And Shedeur is not an exception to this. Shedeur being in the position he's in, he can't afford mistakes like this. Period. End of story. One thing I want to show is Colin Cowherd, who is an alumnus of Eastern Washington University, by the way. Colin Cowherd gave some comments to this situation that I think we should all take a listen to. Take a listen.
Management is 50% of being a quarterback. When you fall to 144 in the draft and then try to match that number behind the wheel of a car, I don't think the same. You ignored signs with Manziel and Baker. And apparently, based on the traffic violation, Shedeur was avoiding some signs too. The ones that say stop. I feel differently today. I'm not as high on him. I'm not sure he's mature enough. Now I'm going to have to like Kenny Pickett.
Colin Cowherd, I don't agree with everything he said. He's a good journalist, though. The last part was kind of funny, but here's the fact of the matter. I mean, if you listen to his whole rant, Colin Cowherd said very similar as to I did. Shedeur's a quarterback, can't be doing this. And in the position Shedeur's in, I know how badly he wants to, work his way up to starter. I know how badly he wants it. Can't afford this. Can't have dumb mistakes like this. People in the chat are saying, did you look at the body cam footage? I don't care about what is that. What are we supposed to tell from the body cam footage? Shedeur was respectful. Great. He still shouldn't be speeding driving over 100 miles an hour at the end of the day. And I just don't understand. It's bad optically. Why are you speeding on the highway at 1 a.m., especially as a Browns quarterback? And people are sitting here and point the finger. Well, you've sped a car. Well, I'm not Shedeur Sanders, and neither is Colin Cowherd. Shedeur wants to go be the starting quarterback of the Browns, wants to go be the greatest quarterback in NFL history. Quarterbacks are leaders. Quarterbacks lead by example. So that's why I'm saying there's no excuse for that, period. And I know Shedeur will hopefully learn from this mistake. And like Mary Kay Cabot said, who's getting all kinds of heat for doing her job, which, again, I don't get the heat to Mary Kay Cabot, but it will be an enormous wake-up call for Shedeur Sanders. And I fully expect Shedeur to respond from this. He's a good kid. He's smart, and one mistake is not going to drag him down and ruin him. But he's also got to be realistic and say, hey, this shit can't happen. We got to make changes, got to evaluate, and got to move forward. As not the smartest thing at all. Not smart, and just got to make the right choices, Shedeur. I expect Shedeur to still work his way up. It's still going to take some time. Still got to beat out Dylan Gabriel. It may take longer than people might like, but nonetheless, Shedeur, wake up, brother. Wake up, because I'm rooting for you. I know Colorado Buffaloes Nation is rooting for you. Please be smarter. Man, interesting story. Finishing off kind of on a stat of the day note for this show, sticking on Shedeur Sanders. Speaking of Cleveland Stars, December 30th, 2007, LeBron James at the age of 23 was cited for going 101 miles an hour by law enforcement. June 18th, 2025, Shedeur, same age, 23 years old, was cited for going 101 mile an hour by law enforcement. I just laugh at this. To me, this is ironic. It's funny. Still shouldn't be driving 100 miles an hour no matter what, but it's stats are funny, damning, and figured I'd add that tidbit since everyone's like, LeBron did it. Who gives a shit? Still not right. And Shedeur, you got to make smarter choices, especially if Shedeur wants to work his way up. Now, I'm not saying speeding is going to stop him from being a starting quarterback. I'm saying it doesn't play into his argument. It doesn't help him by any means at all, and it's not very, very smart to do. So, Shedeur, praying you learn from this, move forward, because I'm expecting you to work your way up, become Brown starting quarterback one day, as I know Colorado Buffaloes Nation and Browns fans alike feel probably the same way. But man, folks, if you're watching, go ahead and hit this like button, subscribe, become a member of the BPM Army today. It's been a great show here on this fine Thursday. I appreciate you all tuning in here on Bailey Price Media Live. We're going to be live here on Saturday here at 3 p.m. Eastern on Bailey Price Media Live as well. So if you're watching, take note of these times and dates here. Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we're live. Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we're live. Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we're live. Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, we're live as well. And anytime we aren't live here on 0 to 60 with Matt McChesney, I'll be live here on my channel, BPM Live here. So we're going to be live a lot this summer, talking a lot of football here as we get close to the season, talking all things college football, NFL, Coach Prime, Colorado, Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels in North Carolina. Talked about them a lot yesterday as well. And we're going to be having all kinds of guests here. Speaking of the Cleveland Browns, we got a special guest here joining the show, somebody who's boots on the ground in Cleveland. Browns fans may know him, Zach Jackson, writer and reporter for The Athletic, covering the Cleveland Browns, boots on the grounds in Cleveland. Zach Jackson joins the show next week on Tuesday's show, 3:30 Eastern. So stay tuned for that. Got boots on the ground in Cleveland joining the show. Stay tuned for that. And we're going to have so many more special guests. Sean King will be back soon as well. I can't wait to talk about this massive season ahead with Mr. King here. I know people have been missing him, and prayers up to him as he gets works through some health issues and gets back to full strength. I can't wait to talk to Mr. King. Coach Fred will be on next week as well, and so much more. But man, this has been a great show. Let me know in the comments section your thoughts. I got to hear from the BPM Army. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders making these mistakes, getting pulled over, and how he should respond to it. Your thoughts on Deion Sanders reportedly telling Diego Pavia, my son is starting regardless when he was at Jackson State. Your thoughts on that. Also, let us know your thoughts on RJ's insight. RJ Saunders joined the show at the beginning of the show to give us an update on how the Jaguars will use Travis Hunter. James Gladstone, the GM down there, his impact on the Jaguars. We talked Liam Cohen. We talked Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., who's, by the way, about to be a freaking stud with Travis, by the way. We discussed that and so much more. Folks, this has been a great show. Hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the BPM Army. Be sure to tune in to right here, Bailey Price Media Live, Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking all things NFL and college football news, Sanders news, Coach Prime, Colorado news. Who knows what will happen? You know how the media is, so that's going to be fun. But thank you for watching. Enjoy your Thursday, and I'll see you guys on Saturday. Peace.